Hi there, I'm Solar, the head of growth here at Voxalyze. In this short video, I'm going to show you how you can leverage Voxalyze to better understand and grow the audience of your show. Once you've confirmed your email address, you will land on this page where you will be prompted to add your podcast. So I'm going to do that right now with Voxalyze variant podcast, the audience growth podcast. Here we go. Now I'm going to create a project. Now at this stage, if you're on an enterprise plan, you'll be prompted to assign project to user groups, but I'm alone on this project for now, so I'm going to skip that step. If you ever need to add team members to a certain project, you can always do that by going over to the user section and inviting user first, and then to the group section where you can then define groups, which means defining which users belongs to which groups and which groups have access to which projects. You can now head over to our visibility analytics section. Here, you will find an overview of your visibility metrics, which reflect your ability to capture the free search traffic that is available on the major podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. In the top left corner, the visibility overview provides you with a bird's eye view of your on-platform visibility compared to the visibility of all other podcasts in a given country and platform, in this case, the United States and Apple Podcasts. You can always choose a different country or platform by clicking on filters, then choosing the country of your liking and the platform and clicking on apply. In the top right corner, you can see how your visibility score and rank have been evolving over time. Down below, you can also find other metrics such as the keyword count, which will become extremely relevant once you start optimizing your metadata at the episode level. You can also find metrics related to your ratings, such as the rating distribution, the average listener rating, and the listener ratings count. If you've just created your account, you're probably still in the keyword research phase, which is why we're going to head over to the keyword section to check for which keywords our show is already ranking. At the top of the table, you can see different column headers, the rank, which corresponds to the position that our show holds for a particular keyword, the country in which it's ranking, the search term. The total column corresponds to the number of shows ranking for that particular keyword. Then you have the search volume, which is rated from 1 to 3 dots being the maximum. A trend column, which tells you how your ranking has been evolving over time, and a difficulty assessment. Generally speaking, you want to go for keywords with a difficulty strictly below 75 and a search volume of 2 dots and above. You can always download a complete list of all the keywords that your show is ranking for by scrolling down and clicking on that little icon down there. After that, you'll be able to import it to Excel or Google Sheets. That can be very useful if you want to send a report or an export to your boss or to a client. Alright, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that you're done brainstorming the list of 30 to 50 target keywords that you want your show to rank for. And now, we can start phase 2, competitive analysis. To do that, we're going to click on the Voxalyze logo in the top left corner, and then on Keyword Explorer. Now, for a show like the Audience Growth Podcast, it might be interesting to rank for keywords such as podcasting. I don't know yet if it's a good keyword to go for, but it's worth exploring. So I'm going to type it. And as you can see, the search volume is only 1. The keyword difficulty is fairly easy, 63. So given the niche aspect of our podcast, it still might be a keyword to go for, despite the fact that the search volume is below 2 dots. Okay, now let's see which podcasts are ranking for that keyword, the School of Podcasting. I can simply click on Track this show, after which I'll be able to see its visibility metrics and all the keywords it's ranking for. Let's do that. All right, let's create a project. And since I'm on the enterprise plan, I'm again prompted to assign the project to a user group, but I'm alone on this project, so I'm going to skip that step. Let's head over to Home, where we'll see a full list of our projects, our own podcast, and our competitor. So let's click on the competitor. And again, you can see all the metrics I presented earlier, his visibility score, keyword count. So it looks like all of these metrics have been going up lately. So definitely a competitor that I should keep an eye on. And now let's look at his keyword list. Okay, so now we have a full list of all the keywords it's ranking for. And you can navigate, clicking next. You can also, again, change the country and the podcast platform. But what you want to do is click on that icon and download the full list of keywords, after which you'll be able to filter by search volume and difficulty to really find the low-hanging fruits. So the keywords that your competitor is ranking for, that you also want to rank for and you want to add to your metadata. All right, we're done with the podcast visibility portion of this guided tour, and we can now start looking at Voxalyze Audience Analytics. It gives you access to a wealth of data about your audience, and it's really simple to access that data. You only need to install our tracking prefix in the console of your hosting provider. So we're going to do that now. Going to click on the Voxalyze logo, which brings us back to the project page, and then click on our own podcast. And at the top, click on Analytics. We're looking at the installation wizard of our tracking prefix. Step 1 has been completed. The project was created. And we now need to check our feed URL. In most cases, our system will have pre-populated that field for you. In case it didn't, you can always get it from your hosting provider and paste it here. I'm now going to click on Save. And here's our tracking prefix. You can click on Copy to copy it to a clipboard, after which you can paste it in the console of your hosting provider. We have a very detailed, very thorough article in our knowledge base explaining exactly how you can do that hosting provider by hosting provider, and I highly encourage you to check it out. Once it's done, I'll see you on the other side. I installed the prefix, and this is the data that I now have access to. For the record, I installed that prefix at the end of February, which is why I have access to historical data as far back as February. Your tracking prefix will only start collecting data from the moment it was implemented, which is why it's important that you do that as soon as possible. I've been using Voxalyze Audience Analytics to better understand the audience of our own show for a while now. And what I really love about it is its flexibility. There are so many filters at our disposal to help us get a clearer picture of the situation. Slice and dice the data, zoom in, zoom out. Now, what do I mean by zoom out? Let's look at this download graph, for example. At first glance, it doesn't look too bad. But if I switch the time scale to monthly, a trend will become apparent. Now it's very clear that I need to pick up the pace when it comes to publishing episodes, and I need to put more efforts behind promoting the podcast. What do I mean by zoom in? Let's go back to the daily timescale, and we'll also zoom in on one of our episodes to better understand how the downloads evolve over time. I know you can clearly see a download peak when the episode was released, which corresponds mostly to the automated downloads of people who follow us, for example, on Apple Podcasts, and then the long tail of podcast downloads that happen because of PVO, for example. Voxalyze Audience Analytics offers you all the classic reports that you like and expect from a podcast analytics provider, but with much more flexibility and a much higher level of granularity. Players and platforms, geography, technology. Let's take geography, for example. Do you want to zoom in only on the United States? Possible in one click. Now, do you want to zoom in on the downloads that happen in California? Also possible in one click. And now look, you can see a list of the downloads by city located in California only. But that's not all. We can go one level deeper and filter by episode. And now, for this precise episode, you can see exactly in which cities the podcast was listened to. So we can now clear those filters and head over to our technology report. This report can be incredibly useful if you want to show advertisers the distribution of operating systems within your audience. As we all know, Apple users tend to have a higher buying power, so this is very relevant information. And we can easily compare two countries, the distribution between two countries. Let's say, for example, the United States and Germany. Let's start with the United States. Here you can see 65.5% on iOS plus 4.5% on macOS. So overall, 70% of our downloads come from Apple devices. And we can now compare this to Germany, where in total, if I'm not mistaken, 28.7% plus 22.6%, a bit more than 50% of our downloads come from Apple devices, which paints a very different picture, I would say. There's a last report that I want to show you, which I think is fascinating and also a lot of fun to look at. It's called the Download Even feed. I'm going to clear the filters so we see the feed for all countries. And what this feed basically is, it's a chronological representation of all of your download events, showing you who listened, where, and when exactly. And by the way, this is data that we can push to your database if you're on the enterprise plan. All right, I hope you liked this guided tour. I hope it was useful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send us an email to hello@voxalyze.com. Have a good one.